What's up, guys? So I've been injured forever now, and I decided to motivate myself to heal it better and kind of like keep myself motivated to do all that boring mobility and physiotherapy and things of that nature. So I got myself new shoes, and guess what we are? That's Altras. There's some different damn information inside the box, but these ones are Altra Escalante, which I'm gonna dig into in a minute. But basically what they are zero drop shoes, which are quite famous in the running world, which allow your feet and toes to splay out naturally and don't cause that compression, which basically then sends a shock to different soft tissue, and rather just plays and sends the vibrations naturally into the soft tissue it should. So that's the zero drop benefits of it, because it's more natural, it's barefoot running. And when you have some technique explanation, which is basically, well, that's more or less quick cadence. We have landing under the hip, compact arms for momentum, more or less. Yep, that's the one. And of course some review. Okay, so just without further ado, let's see how the shoes actually look like. Oh, they're as bulky as I remember them. Because I had one pair before and I think it was torn in two. As you can see, that's Altra's most typical footprint, which is one of their brand identity items. And it's super duper light. I think these come just under 220 grams. They have like a flexible upper, similar to what Nike did a couple of years ago with their like sock-like shoes. And yeah, they look pretty good, look minimal, I like that. And as you can see, it's zero drop, meaning that the toe stack height and the heel stack height are actually the same, which is I think at 2 centimeters or something like that, which is irrelevant really. But we have apparently like really good foam, which is called Ego. So let's see if it actually does anything to my ego while running. But I'm gonna test these out just in a couple of days to see if they're any good, and if I actually can start running in them and get back to my game running, let's say 30, 40, maybe 50 miles a week, and getting ready for, big races this year. So yeah, if you have any comments, please leave below. And meanwhile, let me put them on. Right, so first thought, the toe box is extremely wide. I have so much space. I think even my Merrell zero drop shoes are not as spacious as these ones. As you can see, it's super flexible. My toe is poking out, and it just feels quite good. Feels a lot of cushioning, which I'm not a fan of. But as you can see, the shoes are really like front bulky. Everything else seems normal, but just the front is really bulky. And apparently this one, the upper stretches like way too much while running, but I'm gonna test it out to see if that's true, or maybe it's just a personal thing, like a preference. But yeah, give me another 4 days and I'll get back to you on this. Boom. So we had around maybe 20 miles throughout a couple of weeks collected. quite sporadically. As you can see, there's some dirt, some use. It's pretty damn good for what it is. So verdict, what's good about it, what's not so good about it. It's really cushion. I guess it's pretty good for beginners or someone who needs that cushion. That ego kind of foam is really spongy, and it feels like you are just on a cloud, or something like you would be walking on a firm mattress per se. So every step of the way you kind of bounce up and down. I think it's gonna be pretty good for me to actually rebuild the strength in my legs and feet, as it's still 0 drop. So the landing happens at this part, which is, you know, a forefoot to midfoot, instead of heel striking. So that's pretty good, and I kind of like this kind of shape and patterns. It's pretty damn grippy. I guess that comes from Altra's trail running shoe background and their technologies to achieve that. Otherwise, it feels like a sock with a lot of spacing, as told before. And I tested it in snow, dirt, trails, concrete, tarmac, you know, all those surfaces, and I found it just really spongy and quite responsive still, which I quite like, because it saves Salomons and other shoes. I don't really find that kind of responsiveness, and it feels like you have some sort of thick and stiff padding underneath. So yeah, and you can see how spongy that is. Let's jig it up. It's pretty damn soft all throughout. And what I found also is that there's a shitload of padding around the Achilles, which kind of irritates my Achilles, so I'm thinking to just cut this part off and just leave it kind of like unconstrained, because I don't really need Achilles support. That's just beyond me, and I don't think anyone actually needs it, because your Achilles should be strong all throughout without any support. And so of course the feet with underlying cushion, I don't think there should. If they would actually make less of a foam, let's say maybe 1 centimeter, that would be more than enough for any runner to actually run medium to short distances. Perhaps for long distances this could be good. Otherwise, I don't know. I've seen some of the pro runners just cutting off the foam like halfways, or cutting off the heel, just to make it, you know, much more lighter and responsive, and kind of increase the shuffle and the cadence needed. But otherwise they're super duper light. That's what's surprising, because they look quite bulky and they feel quite bulky as you walk with them, but once you start running, it's just light. I mean, it's definitely lighter than 200 grams, which I was really surprised when I bought them. At least for, you know, for average shoe. I don't know what's it like for this size, but it definitely feels like the lightest shoe I ever had. And even Merrell's, which are 0 drop, kind of felt much more heavier. And just to compare, it might be interesting. On the left we have a Merrell, which is 0 drop, super minimal, super responsive shoe. As you can see, I can bend to nothing. And then we have Altras next to it. So the Altra is definitely much bulkier, minimal, as you can see the cushion. And the only thing why I want to compare is because both are 0 drop, meaning the heel to toe ratios and sizes are the same. Of course, Merrell have the Vibram padding, but as you can see, it wears off really quickly, and this blue thing kind of wears off to nothing, and then you kind of, it feels really, I don't know, it feels really damaging to the feet. So that's why I use it as a walking shoes, as my casual shoes, because after 100 miles this would just wear off to nothing. So if I hoped that this shoe would replace it and would be kind of like a good alternative where I could just use it for longer, because apparently they're much more stable. I'm not really sure about this black thing. It might come off at some point, but still, it's pretty damn good shoe, and it feels pretty good. The tongue is paper thin. I don't find it really irritating. Some people find it a bit that it slips back and forth. To me, it locks in pretty nicely. And all throughout, it's really comfy ride. I guess it's cushion, which is one thing. It has zero support for the arc, while Merrell's have just slightly, as you can see, just slightly arc support, which kinda, it still feels really comfy, but I guess this is really good alternative for, let's say, beginner athletes or those who just wanna go for zero drop. So yeah, that's my review and my verdict for this bad boy. Did you like this video? If so, give a like, subscribe, or share with your friends. Show some love.